The Seattle Seahawks are kicking the tires on a veteran guard for their offensive line. What's going on, people? Good morning. Happy Wednesday. We are just one day short of the very intriguing and very interesting joint practice between the Seahawks and the Packers. If you guys know about joint practices in the NFL, you know they can get a little bit over the top. They can get a little bit colorful. And there's something also that we as Seahawks fans are not often exposed to because Pete Carroll didn't like them. Well, Mike McDonald does. Now, don't expect a lot to go on today. My understanding is that the team is traveling. So I don't think we're going to get very many updates from the Seahawks today. But we can talk about a potential roster move that they're at least considering. I don't think you make a move like this, or it's not a move yet, but you don't do something like this unless you're seriously thinking about it. Please like this video, subscribe if you're new, click the bell for notifications, become a channel member for $2 a month. Those are the best ways to support the channel. I have a new video going up on Bleacher Report a little later today, so keep an eye on that. Should be going up in the next couple of hours. Okay, Dalton Risner. Dalton Risner, veteran offensive guard, played for the Broncos, played for the Vikings. He is coming in for a visit with the Seahawks. This is the Field Goals article talking about it. The original tweet is from Jeremy Fowler. It seems like Risner is choosing, or at the very least, one of the three teams is thinking about choosing him, with the Bengals, the Seahawks, and potentially the Steelers are getting involved as well. So, pretty interesting, pretty notable here. I think that at this point, a guy like Dalton Risner will feel lucky to be on a roster. So, to be very clear, I don't look at this and go, okay, we have a new starter. Dalton Risner, if we signed him, would, I imagine, happily take a backup role. Even among the veterans that are free agents deep into training camp or deep into the preseason, Dalton Risner is not someone like a Jadeveon Clowney, who would sign just to collect a paycheck and sit on the bench all week. I'm sure if Clowney signs somewhere, he has assurances that he's going to get to play at least some. Dalton Risner, not so much. So I'm not going to sit here and say this is going to be a shakeup in the Seahawks offensive line in terms of starters. It could be, at the very least, in play in a way that does surprise me. If you take a look at the Seahawks offensive line on ESPN, the depth chart, the starters are kind of the default starters: Cross, Zabel, Oluwatimi, Bradford, Lucas. They still have Oluwatimi starting over Sundell. That may end up not happening, but either way, that it's one of those two, right? That's the assumption at the moment. Now, what is Dalton Risner? He is, by and large, a left guard. If you take a look at his career across two teams, he has played almost all of his snaps at left guard. Let me move my head real quick so you guys can see. He has played over 5,000 snaps in his career on offense. 4,500 have been at left guard every snap he played before this most recent year. This most recent year, he got pushed into the lineup because of injury and played all of his snaps at right guard. But this guy is, at the end of the day, a left guard. That's his skill set. That's what he is comfortable with. And that is ultimately where he has found a modicum of NFL success. And I do mean a modicum. This is not some great player. This is not some over-the-top impressive, even as a backup. He would be a good backup. I'm not going to sit here and say he's been great at anything. There's a reason why Denver did not offer him an extension off of his rookie deal. There's a reason why Minnesota gave him 2 cheap one-year deals and then have now let him go. There's a reason why this guy is still a free agent in August. We're past the midpoint of August, and the guy is still not on a team. And he's only 30. He's not 35 or anything like that. He's not washed up. He's not old. He's not trying to skip training camp because he doesn't want to put his body through it. No, he's just a very limited player. But I don't get the sense that this is a terrible player. I don't get the sense that this is a player who is just gonna pop in, sign a contract with no guaranteed money, and then get cut after 2 days. I don't think this is a situation where we're just gonna let him have tryouts with 9 other players and then we just pick whichever one we think does best. I think that you are looking at him as serving some kind of meaningful role, even if that role is as a backup. Now, like I said, he has been a left guard for a significant majority of his career. Nearly 90% of his career snaps are at left guard. Yes, the most recent season he played it at right guard, but that was by circumstance. He did not play a snap for the first 10 weeks of the season in Minnesota. Then he got pushed out there because the situation demanded it. But I don't look at Risner as a right guard. That being said, there's no way Gray Zabel is not going to start for us this year. There is a scenario, excuse me. Well, there is a scenario where Gray Zabel goes out there at left guard and really, really struggles. And later in the season, November, December, we bench him. But he is certainly going to start the season. We are going to give him a chance. We are going to give him an extended opportunity to prove that he is an NFL left guard, that he is a good NFL left guard, that he is at the very least a left guard that we want to ride it out with, because even if he ends up not being good right this very moment, he'll be good later. But Zabel is certainly going to be the left guard. I don't think there's any scenario where he bumps over to center or right guard or anything like that. So if you're bringing in Risner as a potential starter, the only place that it could happen would be at right guard, where Bradford has played well overall in camp so far and across 2 preseason games. I think he's been overall pretty decent. I still think that's a tough sell. I still think it's a tough sell to say, we've got this Anthony Bradford guy. He's on his rookie deal. He's very cheap. He's very physically, athletically talented. He's seems to be finally coming into his own this year. He just had a great preseason game. He's had a good camp. We've been talking him up. But we're going to sign somebody who isn't even really a right guard, who is still a free agent in August, to take his job at the last second. So I don't think this is for a starting job. I can't imagine that. It's not impossible. Maybe they're seeing something with Bradford in practice that we don't know about, that they really don't like, and they're just desperate to get him off the field. That's not the sense I'm getting, though. It's not. As depth, however, here's the thing that's kind of hard to decipher right now. Right now, ESPN says our backup left guard, the Seahawks backup left guard, is Sataoa Lomea, and the backup right guard is Christian Haynes. I don't think that makes a lot of sense. I think that Lomea, with his skill set, is pretty clearly meant to be a right guard in this league. I don't think the left guard thing with the mobility that you need is going to work for him at all. He is a run blocker, first, second, third, fourth, and fifth in this league. If you put him at left guard, I think those 3 techs are going to destroy him in pass protection. I think Lomea needs to be on the right, and I think that Christian Haynes, while he hasn't really fit in smoothly anywhere, needs to be on the left if he's going to be anywhere. At this point, I think he's DOA on the right side, so left side is the next opportunity he has. So if that is the case, is this potential signing because of Christian Haynes? Has Christian Haynes looked so underwhelming, so bad, so untrustworthy at left guard that they don't even trust him to be the backup? Is that possibly what's going on here? Are they just trying to figure out a way that Christian Haynes doesn't have to be in any way, shape, or form depended on? Do they think that little of him? That is part of my assumption here. If it's not that, then it's a little bit confusing to me. I think that, personally, I think that Lomea is fine as a backup right guard. Very limited, very one-dimensional, a lot of problems as a player, but as a right guard, he can be okay as a backup. I can live with that. And I have a feeling this team is willing to live with that for the time being. It's not great, but I think they are willing to play that hand. But I could see the other side of this where Christian Haynes is just so not good that they just feel like they have to do something. Even as a backup, there's not enough there for them to feel decent about. And look, Dalton Risner, again, there's a reason why he's a journeyman. There's a reason why his career has gone the way that it has gone. And I'm not going to say he's ever been anything special, but every year of his career, for whatever it's worth, so far, every year in his career, he has been above 60 on PFF, except for 2023. And even that year, it was not terrible. It just was slightly below sea level. This is a guy who belongs in the league. In fact, I think it's a little bit odd that he's still a free agent deep into August. I would not have guessed that before the season started. He did have a reputation in Denver for being a guy who got worse with each year that went on. Like, I remember that Denver fans were pretty optimistic about his future as a rookie. And then each year that went by, it seemed like they liked him a little less and a little less and a little less. Pro Football Focus doesn't necessarily reflect that. They think the best year of his career was 2021. But whatever it may be, it seems like the verdict is pretty clear. This is a mediocre player who is either one of the worst starters in the league at left guard or one of the better backups, depending on whether or not he's one or the other for you. I can only assume that this is a signing because you have zero trust in Christian Haynes as a backup left guard. And if that being the case, I don't know if Haynes makes the team, which is really, really disappointing to me and really, really surprising to me. But that is my best guess. And they don't think that a guy like Bryce Cabledew can step in and be an adequate backup either. All right. That's most of what I can say about Risner. He's an okay player. He can pass as a workable starter temporarily in a pinch, but you don't want him to be the plan as your starter. And for the record, I do view him as a left guard. I think the right guard thing, look, he gutted it out last year. He played decently. He was passable. Okay, fine. Maybe there's some flexibility there that we didn't know we had. But to me, he's a left guard. To me, that is where his skill set best fits. Money wouldn't be a ton, but it depends on what kind of role you're giving him. Are you giving him a chance to compete for a starting job? Are you signing him as a pure backup? Are you somehow, some way, and again, I don't know how this is even possible, are you signing him as a starter? That, depending on what you sign him for, that's going to affect his money. But in 2023, the first year with the Vikings, he got 1 year, $3 million. And then the next year, the Vikings brought him back 1 year, $2.4 million. He did play better last year, but again, that was the year he played at right guard. And in 2024, we know the Vikings signed him as a pure backup, and then he got onto the field in the second half of this season. So my suspicion would be that the contract that he would get at this point would be somewhere a little bit above this and probably a little bit below this. So 3 million, 2.4 million, split the difference. Maybe it'll be like 2.7 or 2.8 million for 1 year. Very little guaranteed. He's a guy you sign and maybe he doesn't even make the team. Obviously, how much we give him guaranteed. Like last year, even on that cheap deal, the Vikings did give him 1.1 guaranteed. If we gave him something like that, he'd almost certainly make the team. And look, Dalton Risner is clearly a player worthy of being on an NFL team. He is. He's clearly good enough to belong in the NFL. But it is a little bit of a curveball, and I'm worried that it reflects a complete loss of faith in Christian Haynes. Possibly Lomea as well. Maybe Risner's going to be like your swing guard where he can back up both spots. And then you let Lomea and Haynes kind of compete to be the third guard off the bench in the event of a really bad situation. Maybe there's something like that going on. Clearly, there's something going on the interior line for the Seahawks, that, let's say, guard, left guard, right guard, that they don't like. Let me know what you guys think down below. Keep an eye out for the Bleacher Report video later today. Go Hawks. Let me know what you think. Maybe another video later today, but again, today's going to be slow because I don't think the team is going to be doing much other than traveling to Green Bay. All right. Go Hawks.